Okay, today we have Divakar. Hi, Divakar. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing great, Mukund. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How's the weather in New York? Well, you're close to New York.
Yes, so it's good. It's a pleasant day. So it's still windy though, which makes
You
it
know,
cool.
the reason I start with weather always is not because it's an American thing. It's also because I'm in Seattle. Out of 365 days in the year, it rains for 372.
Oh my God.
It
It's a
rains
sad
all the
place.
time. It rains every single time. Even during the summer, it'll rain, right? So it's like really ridiculous. But some people love it because of the green. We moved here about 11 years ago, and we kind of like it so far.
Nice, nice, nice. I mean, this place snows a lot. Greenwich, where I live in, and as well as New York, where I work out of. I think this time the winter was the coldest, I believe.
Oh, really?
It
I
was
came to New York in December. It was nice and cold.
lot of snow, a lot of snow. There is a lake behind our home. It was frozen for
Oh,
almost a
wow.
month. So it was good. We used to live out of Dubai before this. We moved in
Oh,
last year.
wow. You came from the heat of the hot and to the cold of the
From
cold.
desert to snow. And it so happened this was the coldest winter in the last decade, it seems. So,
That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about your story, OneDVS. Let's start with that, and then we'll go more into some of the other aspects of it. Let's start with OneDVS. You started in 2007, so that's quite a while ago. That means you've had,
yeah,
what, 14, 20 years nearly
18,
about the
18
journey.
years in this game. Yes, yes. Oh, it's been fun. It's been a very, I say DVS for me is my research laboratory where we try, iterate, and succeed, and then we use those lessons to try something new. So that's been the journey. And if it doesn't happen, it's a mismatch of expectations. We figure out why certain things have not panned out the way it had to. So originally, Mukund, I love the world of tax. I've always viewed tax as a behavioral science subject.
I would have never guessed someone would say, I love the world of tax ever. But this is, it's a passion project for you.
Oh, absolutely. See, tax is not what you pay as much as it is how you behave on scale. So uh,
Incentives,
today,
aligning incentives.
yes. And today, by looking at the traffic jams, you can predict tax laws to a reasonable degree of certainty in a particular jurisdiction. Now, um, that's where the deepest insights of tax come from. And for me, it was fascinating because I was seeing India evolve at that time in 2000s, where we were coming out of being a closed economy to starting to
Right.
open up thanks to Manmohan Singh and even the early Congress era. And then after Modi came, it was a different story altogether. So that journey was fascinating. So I started my life as an international tax professional. We used to structure Indian entrepreneurs who were going abroad or foreign investors who were coming into India. So what started more like architects, if you're going to build a building, right? So originally we started as architects. Then client said, "Can you build the building yourself?" So we got into implementation from structuring. Then they said, "Can you manage it?" So we got into facilities management. So that's how the whole journey we completed the entire life cycle of what it takes for an Indian entrepreneur to grow global or for a foreign investor to enter India. We
Right.
got and we grew by acquisition. We built capabilities by acquisition, be it business administrative services out of Dubai, be it virtual CFO practice out of India, or be it um, um, sorry, be it an accounting practice which we acquired. But all of this we grew by acquisition. But the deepest question in mind, Mukund, was why this industry is so damn fragmented. The accounting
Yeah.
professional services industry, right? Be it accounting
It's a
or law.
cottage industry almost.
Exactly. You use the right word. Cottage industry, at times it is condescending, but that's the reality. You can't
By
see.
the way, even marketing agency is a cottage industry. There are 10 big players, and then there are 77,000 players in the US alone.
Wow.
Each of
Wow.
them with actually 80% of them are less than two people.
Less than two people.
Agency, besides having consultants and contractors.
So you're showing me an industry which is probably worse than the
I don't know
uh,
if it is worse. I think the correct word for the marketing agency business is also very much cottage industry.
You're right. I mean, see, if you see the numbers in the US, Mukunda, the industry is 160 billion in size. And this industry has about 650,000 CPAs, 45,000 firms. 16 firms control 108 out of 160 billion. You can imagine that, right?
Yeah.
So the remaining 52 billion is for between the remaining 44,800 odd firms. And it's crazy, crazy fragmentation. The top 50th firm in the top 50 list is 100 million in size. Number one is 32 billion in size.
Wow. Give me a minute. I want to show you the numbers on the marketing agency side. Marketing agency spend is about 214 billion in the US alone.
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
The
hmm.
top 14 companies take care of 62% of marketing spend. Very
Got,
similar.
got it.
Then there are 69,990 agencies that take care of the 30%.
Got it.
And the
Got it.
services sometimes you feel are fragmented, very similar to your business. Tax is a leading wedge, you can call it. People start with tax, or people start with different kinds of
Correct.
things.
Correct.
For us, it keeps changing what they start with. For some people, it depends on time. It's also a little bit, marketing is a very fad driven agency to a certain extent, I would say. Not exactly. Tax is forever. They always need tax planning and tax help. In marketing agencies, SEO was hot, then social
Hmm,
became hot, and then SEM was hot, and
hmm.
then influencer marketing became hot. So we keep changing in that. Not similar to you, but that's what happens.
Yes.
Somebody gains expertise in a specific niche, somebody buys them out, and then
Uh,
100 firms get started.
yes. No, I think now for us, the fad is now what's happening. The accounting firm sector itself is a fad now. A lot of private equity, almost 80 funds have entered this space in the last 1 year.
Correct,
More than
correct.
500 deals have happened in the last 5 years, 120 deals in the last 6 months alone.
What is happening? Why are so many firms looking to acquire accounting firms? It is a very sticky business, or is there more to it?
No, see, the reason I believe why the funds are getting there is one, these firms are available at, they believe, as you rightly said, it is sticky, cross-sell opportunities are high. Second, there's tremendous inefficiency in the system. Because imagine these are small firms, right? And even a $5-10 million firm, though not large, still has huge amount of latent inefficiencies. You can easily spend some time, improve the margin by 10-15%. It makes it that's very much available. But where I'm really concerned as an industry is this industry is going to be disrupted not by incumbents, but by the Davids of the world who come on the form of small AI-driven tech outfits who are challenging all these players, both in terms of speed, cost. Okay, service I still do not know because humans, we still need that human touch of engagement. But I think the entire back office operations are now at this point, the problem is also solved. A lot of AI bots are available which can do far better job than any CPA can, much faster. So that's the disruption which is waiting to happen. So the funds are interested because of the valuations. Uh, but now that is also like pushing it to a point beyond reasonableness. Today, firms are being sold at 8-10 times earnings. We do not know how that's going to sustain. Because anyway, earlier these were 3-4 times sometime
Correct.
back.
I would say
Realistically,
3.5 to 5 times EBITDA is what we're seeing on the marketing side. But now increasingly, because I don't know if you've heard of another term called search funds. You've probably heard of it, correct?
search funds,
Search funds, search fund,
SURG. Okay.
SEARCH,
Okay. Search
like
funds.
Google search. Search funds are essentially individuals who want to do entrepreneurship through acquisition.
Ah.
So what they do is, let's say you are graduating from Kellogg Business School or Wharton or Harvard or Stanford. You want to be an entrepreneur, but don't want to start from zero.
Hmm.
So what these guys do, they will say, I will put 10% of my money. I will go and raise the remaining 90%. Then I'll go out and buy companies, accounting companies. Most of the targets have been usually services firms with a very big repeatable business bought at between 3.5 and 5 times EBITDA.
Correct.
That seems normal. But the search funds, there are literally about 35,000 of them in the US. They're all going and buying local, regional laundromats. They're buying local, regional plumbing services, solar installation services, and now they're coming to accounting firms. 1%, 3%, 5% accounting firms bought at about 6 times to 8 times EBITDA, which to me is like, oh my God, that's a very steep valuation.
Correct. No, you don't have much on the table left to optimize moment you start going beyond five, it's your margin of safety is very minimal. And in a interest rate regime as what it is today, the return on equity, the return on capital has to be significant. You're talking about a 30% EBITDA to sustain the game. Not sure if in a world where prices are only coming down thanks to technology, anticipating a 30% EBITDA based on the current invoiceable value. Not sure if that's this is where the game differs between a long-term operator and a short-term investor.
Right.
You're in the game for 8 to 10, 15, 20. We are here for the next 25 years, so you're not going to run anywhere. So we are playing the long game. We want to build the business both organically and inorganically. Acquisition is going to be our core lever of growth alongside organic
Correct.
growth. But we would want to grow with partners who are interested to grow the pipe and not someone who's interested for a quick flip.
Perfect.
And yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's not the game we are playing. It's definitely not the game.
Yeah, no, I think the interesting part, Divakar, is how many similarities exist between what you're saying. When I got into this, I was focused just on marketing firm. That's my background. I don't have a lot of expertise in technology because I was at Amazon, I was at Microsoft, I was at Cisco, I was at HP, using my background. Started a company in marketing, sold it, started another company in the e-commerce marketing side. We went public in 2022 in Canada. So did well. And when I started looking at digital marketing firms, that's when the same kinds of insights that you've gathered, I started seeing as well. Just in the last 6 to 12 months, it has become a little bit more of a feeding frenzy. People are
Hmm.
paying 7 times. There's one deal that I passed on because of the discipline that luckily I had. Well, to be honest, I couldn't afford it. So it was not only because of discipline, I just couldn't afford the deal. 14 times EBITDA for a company doing less than 3 million in revenue,
Wow. Wow.
with about 66% of it being recurring revenue.
Wow.
Okay, 30%, 35%, 40% of your revenue is not recurring. And
Correct.
it is very dependent on, very few customers. Most of these agencies don't have more than 20 to 30
Correct.
customers. Two, three customers go, you're suddenly staring at
Right.
the barrel
Yeah.
with a lot of revenue without.
Correct. Correct. No, absolutely. See, this is what happens when you raise capital with a deployment horizon. And there the pressure is to deploy and not to deploy on the right asset at the right valuation, right? So I think that's one I completely resonate. I mean, we saw a $6, $7 million firm effectively sold for 15, $16 million, uh, of which 50% was paid cash. So 1x revenue was paid cash. I mean, we still do not know the economics. Even the iBanker who did the deal was shocked. Said like, I hope the fund stays alive before the full deal closure happens. Uh, and now all those deals are now coming to a pause because thanks to what's happened in the new tariff regime, so much of uncertainty in the markets, people are now moving back to safer bets. The valuation, I'm saying the last 2 weeks, we have seen at least a 20-25% dip in expectation.
Correct.
Yeah, in terms it's moving, the needle is moving more towards the sanity zone, uh, we might sustainable sanity zone. And one of my profs in Chicago booth, this gentleman, Steve Kaplan. So he was considered at some point the greatest man in galaxy on private equity.
Wow.
Oh, you should read his books. Phenomenal guy. So he took us a full day session on our YPO program there.
Mhm.
Uh, the private equity surge comes in, and many a times you would see that go up, and then there's a hard stop. It just starts to collapse because the moment two, three deals go wrong, and which we are already seeing in our accounting space. I don't want to name, but some of the larger deals are not panning out the way it was expected. Because ultimately, it's a people's game. it's not a jigsaw puzzle where you move, because this is not like manufacturing where the capacity is determined on tangible assets. This is an expertise. More than the expertise can be automated through process to some extent, or to a large extent, you can say. But the human engagement, right? That is something which you still need a nurse. As much as consultation can be automated, you still need a nurse. You need a very friendly nurse to come and put the injection, have that conversation. We are human beings. I think that at least we are from an era where we still believe the human quotient is still important. And
Correct.
I firmly believe at least the next decade or more, as much as there is going to be dependence on AI is going to be it's going to be a great enabler. Nothing strong, nothing's going to stop. We have to live with that. But I think the front end, the human element of the game is going to not only be a differentiator, but it's going to be a competitive advantage as we grow.
Let me ask you your thoughts on this one question. I'll tell you what's happening in our world, and I want to see if that is happening in your world as well. In the marketing world right now, Divakar, content is not being written for people anymore. It is being, by the way, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it used to be written for people. Would someone want to read this? Should I give the content in a way that is easy for someone to read and understand? That's how it was written. Now, everybody is writing for language models.
Mhm.
They are writing for Perplexity. They are writing for ChatGPT. They are writing for Claude. They're writing for that. Why? Because most users, when they go, let's say there are two types of users. Type of user number one is going to ChatGPT and asking the question, explain this tax thing to me. And they're getting the answer in ChatGPT. The other type of user is going to Google and they're trying to figure out, let's say they come to a page. They are not reading the page. They're hitting a button saying, ChatGPT, give this to me in 2 minutes. So everybody realizes very quickly you can't really write content for people because people's attention spans have become
Yes.
literally zero, right? Literally zero. It's like maybe 1.01001% more than zero. So they are writing for LLM. Okay, that's one. The second thing is I'm also a tech guy. Now, I don't know if you heard of this term called vibe coding. Okay.
Okay. No.
Vibe coding is a new term, very new term. It's about maybe 6 months old at most. Vibe coding is when you describe what you want to get developed, and the AI agent builds out the entire code for you. So you're describing in English and it builds it out. Now, software developers, they would put the architecture, they would structure it, they would do all that. Vibe coding doesn't build code for people, it builds code for machines.
Mm.
So software is building software machines for software. Content is being developed for LLMs. That means people are not, the focus doesn't seem
Ah,
to be, can a
yes,
human read this? Can a
correct, correct,
human code this? The whole focus is the machine is going to read it, the
correct.
machine is going to figure that out.
Yes.
Is that happening on the tax world as well?
So it's a great uh, analogy you're trying to derive, Mukund. Say, I was thinking that content is being written for algorithms. Okay,
Yeah,
now you pushed it one step further, saying it is being written for GPTs. And when you read what you see in a GPT in someone's statement or in someone's notes, then the alignment, the validation happens naturally because
correct.
you believe the GPT sources from multiple data points. So in our world as of now, thanks to the fact that one end of the world is controlled by bureaucracy, the evolution is still slow.
Yeah,
But what I could say it is I would say in the US it is still pretty slow, but in other parts of the world it is zoomed. We operate in US, Dubai, India, and Singapore, and we work with clients in almost 40 jurisdictions. Now, if you look at what happens in India, uh, by just putting your tax number ID, your return is actually prepared by the income tax department's website.
correct.
It collates data from every data point possible. You just have to verify that. You don't need to prepare. So the preparation part of it is taken care. In the US, thanks to capitalism, we still have it is still not where it can possibly be. We don't know if it's likely to come. But what we are seeing in the industry is apart from the human element of engagement, I think the rest of it, AIs have taken over. Though the gateway, I mean, the facilities available, the resources are there. Not that the adaptation has happened, because the habits don't change hard.
Correct, correct.
That which is why firms where the promoters are in their 50s are coming up for sale, not because they want to sell, but because they're scared of change and they
Right.
fear obsolescence could be hitting them faster than they ever anticipate. So that's the feel. But in our world, it is still not, uh, at least in execution. But what in discovery, what you're saying is becoming real. Because in discovery of a professional for the new age millennium, Gen Z, not even Gen X, Gen Z or beyond, for them the discovery happens online.
Mhm.
And for that online discovery, we are compelled to use the techniques, the tools, what you have shared. I believe that's
That's
that's something where no, I think it's an inescapable loop we are in now.
that's the I don't know if it's funny or if it's interesting or whatever you call it, right? So previously you would write for humans, you would code for human use and application,
Correct.
etc. Now you're doing it for GPT, language model, etc. I think entertainment is by far the only place where something is going to be built for the human by humans because they are going to have to make it very different. Or I think the standardization era. So we've always pushed towards standardization across the board because of franchising, whatever. You go to a Hilton, everywhere it looks the same. You go to accounting firms, most of them will tell you, here is the process, here are the steps, it's the same. If that is the case, where we push towards standardization for the scale, for the ability to make it less expensive and available to more people, AI makes the opposite thing happen,
Yes.
right?
Mass
Which means
customization.
people that use AI, I think to a large extent, are going to be phenomenally successful only if they make it ridiculously unique, regardless of how it is going to be. But that doesn't fly in the age of taxes, with the, those are expected to be standardized. Right? So I'm very curious as to what does AI do to very standardized professions, very standardized systems, because it can really do everything. I mean, to give you an honest response, 2 weeks ago, I was trying to build a website for a new project that I'm starting. 6 minutes. 3 years ago, 6 days. From 6 days to 6 minutes, it's two orders of magnitude faster. It didn't take me 6 hours. From 6 days, it didn't go to 6 hours. It went to 6 minutes.
Mm,
And it was way better than what I would have developed in 6 days
mm,
about
mm,
2 years, 3 years ago.
mm, mm,
Right?
mm,
Because it is just phenomenally better
mm.
because it has been built on top of so much data, information, and ability to sue so many other websites. It gave me 99% of what is expected. That
Yes.
to me is going to be the same thing with tax.
Yes. 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 See, that's what we moved in our business so far. We keep telling our team is your client is not going to pay for your cost. Let's be clear. I
Correct.
think that era is over. Billing by the hours is history. Someone's going to say, I'm going to charge you by the hour, then it's still in the prehistoric era of existence. People are going to pay you for value. So, where you are able to create value, demonstrate value, you can share that value. That's the journey of the services business going forward, we see. It's not going to be no, if you're going to charge a client because I spent 5 hours on your transaction, the 5 hours could be a function of your own handicap, being unable to use the systems or tools which could make your life faster, and you can't penalize your client for that. I think the largest industry at risk is the legal industry, legal profession, where
Correct. Correct.
their P&L is based on the number of hours you spend on a particular trend. I think that day is behind us. So, in our industry, I think we as an organization moved in this direction many years back. Uh, Today, almost 90% of our revenues are outcome-driven revenues.
What does outcome mean in your case?
So, I'll give you an example. We used to work with large family offices in India when they are buying uh, portfolio investments from foreign funds.
Okay,
Let's say, um, let's say Sequoia in the US is selling a fund in has invested in Swiggy. These are names for hypothetical reasons.
correct.
Has
So they're
invested,
trying to buy the investment that Sequoia has made for
yes,
some kind of multiple based on what Sequoia wants to
pre-IPO
sell it.
investment. Pre-IPO investment. Sequoia wants to exit the portfolio. So let's say there is a large Mr. X's family office wants to buy this from Sequoia. It's a 20, 30, $50 million transaction. Now, similar to X, there will be Y, Z, A, B, C. There are 10 family offices who wants to buy. It so happened for us, 2, 3 of these family offices were our clients. They'll come to us. Can you help us with the tax regulations and structuring this entire game?
Okay,
Because there are foreign exchange complications, there are tax complications in doing this.
multiple.
Multiple challenges. Because India has a high regulation. So, and we would be charging them $10,000, $15,000 per transaction. What we said, okay, rather than paying them for, and beyond a point, it gets templatized, right?
Correct,
Same problem everywhere. And there's no excitement that 10,000 became 7,000 next time, then it became 5,000 next time. It was only diminishing value because you have already solved it once, you're only going to incrementally add value. Now,
yeah,
if you need to grow the game, he said, let us solve the problem for the client. What is the problem? He wants to buy the investment.
correct,
Now, if he's going to spend, let's say he's buying it at $10 a share. Now, if we tell him, let's say, I will buy it for you and sell it to you with all regulatory compliances, pay me $10.25. He's more than happy.
correct.
So, and you pay me only when I
It's like
succeed.
insurance for 1025 versus 10. I'm getting the insurance that this is a completely clean deal.
Clean. We take care of the entire process. Yes, we had to solve for one more. Funding was one problem to be solved. That we solved it. We solved it. Now, rather than making $10,000 from a client, I make $50,000 for the transaction. Now, this,
Because the outcome is they want the deal. They don't want to pay you 10,000 and not get the deal done.
my opinion is of no use to them. What are we trying to achieve here? See, let us be real. Right? I mean, I need a medicine only when I fall sick. I don't need a medical opinion when what will happen if I fall sick.
That's very funny. That's correct.
So
That's the truth,
that's
though. That's the truth.
that's the truth, right? So I think we moved to that, and that made a huge difference. And today we are aligning almost all our practices where we say, okay, if you are going to that era of, see, earlier, what were we charging for? We were charging for knowledge arbitrage. Now, that is
Correct.
correct. Next, what were we
And
charging?
even complex knowledge arbitrage is now becoming correct,
Yes,
right? Because
that's simplified now.
ChatGPT is saying that's fine. Whatever you do, I'll know better because I
I'll
don't
make
know
it.
everything.
I mean, DeepSeek is even better from where I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, correct.
You get a thoroughly researched outcome. The second, we were charging for access arbitrage.
Mm.
That
I
is,
have access to these people, you don't, or I have
yes,
access to this deal and you don't.
that also is solved. I would say it is still a work in progress, but by and
Yeah.
large, we feel okay in a
That is
place like,
still, I think the friction there is still existing, and people are trying to create more friction because the vested interests have
yes,
no way, any possibility to give you more visibility into
no,
that, right?
no,
They're like,
no.
we're going to put it on private network, we're not going to show, yeah, that is correct. But
So the
still,
access
it is
are
going to fade.
correct, correct. Access arbitrage is still there. Not we see that in Dubai, in the Middle East, where access arbitrage is massive. So today, what are we trying for? We are today the only game which is sustainable, which has always been sustainable, is value arbitrage. With me, you can do, without me, you can do X, and with me, if you can do X plus Y, on that Y, we both will slice. Not on my X. I think that is a language which is sustainable.
Everybody understands.
You won't understand. There's no need to justify, right? I mean, when you can demonstrate, where is the need to justify? That's where we come from. I believe that is where the profession is headed. Not only accounting, I believe all. I mean, your service will be a even better example for that. Return on ad spends or return customer acquisition cost, whatever we
The
call.
interesting part now, we are being told, I'm not going to get, if the RO, return on ad spend improves or the customer acquisition cost, CAC improves, we don't care. We want customers, we want them at this margin.
Correct.
So an e-commerce company is coming to us and saying, we are selling products at $56 per AOV, average order value. And our margin on those products is about 36% right now. You get to see more customers. Instead of spending their total spend, they figured out their total spend on marketing is about 17%. They're like, we give you 12%. If you get a new customer that didn't come, we'll give you 12%. We don't care because we are spending less. We're spending less to acquire a customer. Our goal is to get more customers. The margin remains the same or better, which is 17% margin and now 17% spend rate on marketing and dropping to 12%. And I'm going to pay you just on new customers acquired, not on return on ad spend,
Existing,
not on, they're like, I don't care. I want customer,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Their
It's
point is, I want
outcome-driven
customer.
game. Yes. See, Mukund, I think then you're actually serving. If you don't commit on outcomes, you're only exploiting
Correct.
or exploring on client's money. I think the client is not there for
Or
that
learning,
purpose.
learning on their body, right?
Ah,
Learning
that's
which
what.
one works and which one doesn't work and taking it to the next client and making it work there.
Exactly. I mean, that's not the way. No one's going to pay you for that. Or it's not even appropriate. So I think uh, we moved mm, nearly 90%, if not more, of our business to this model. We've grown exponentially after that. And
Awesome. That
I
is
think
very, very good.
that's the game we want to play here as well. So when we want to acquire, we want to take at least 60% stake in CPA firms whom we end up with, and the partner gets that remaining 40% to grow the game and increased value. We will buy them out at market values, but the remaining 40 can disproportionately grow. And this is a public markets claim what we are playing. So that's the huge valuation upside they could end up getting.
Awesome. Divakar, this was a terrific conversation. I know we are at about a half an hour mark. That's usually about the time where most of the people are going, man, this is a good podcast, long podcast. I'm sure I'll have you again. I'm sure we'll get a chance to meet as well. But this was a terrific discussion. Thank you for the first initial discussion. And I'm sure we'll continue again.
Oh, pleasure, Mukund. Thanks for having me. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation as well.